بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى أهله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Provisions for the hereafter Mukhtasar Zad al-Ma'ad by Imam Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya, summarized by Imam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab at-Tamimi. Chapter regarding his guidance, his sallallahu alayhi wasallam guidance in Wudhu ablution. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to perform ablution for every prayer most of the times. Although sometimes he might pray with one ablution, sometimes he would perform ablution with a mud of water, sometimes with 2 dards of mud, and sometimes more. And he was the most frugal of the people in pouring water for ablution, and he warned his people against wasting it. It has been authentically reported from him that he performed ablution washing each limb once, twice, and 3 times. Sometimes he would wash some lips twice, another's 3 times, and he will rinse his mouth, madmada, and sniff water into his nose in shock. Sometimes with 1 handful of water, sometimes with 2, and sometimes with 3, and he used to combine the rinsing of the mouth and the sniffing of water into his nose. That is, he used to do both with the same handful of water, and he used to sniff the water with his right hand and spirit with spirit instead using his left hand. Sometimes he will wipe over the whole of his head, and sometimes he will pass his hand back and forth, but it has not been authentically reported from him that he ever wiped over only a part of his head. But if he wiped over his forelock, he would complete the wiping over his headdress. He never performed ablution without rinsing his mouth and steam water into his nose, and it has not been recorded from him that he ever once abandoned them. Likewise, he never once abandoned the sequence of actions and continued in ablution, and he would wash his feet if they were not in leather socks or ordinary socks, and he will wipe over his ears both outside and in along with his beard, or along with his head. And very rarely reported concerning the adhkar or of ablution is a lie, except saying Bismillah in the name of Allah at the beginning of it, and the words نعم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم اجعلنا توابين وجعلنا طاهرين. I testify that none is worthy of worship in truth except Allah alone, and I testify that Muhammad is his slave and his messenger. O Allah, make me one of those who turn to you in repentance, and make me among those who purify themselves. There is another hadith in Sunan al-Nasai. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Glory be to you, O Allah, and praise and thanks. I testify that none is worthy of worship in truth except you. I seek forgiveness from you, and I turn to you in repentance. He never said at the beginning of it, I make the intention, nor did any of the companions radiallahu anhu ever did so. And he never repeated the washing of his limbs more than 3 times. Likewise, it has not been authentically reported from him that he washed above the elbows or the ankles, nor was it his habitual practice to dry his limbs. He used to run his fingers through his beard sometimes, but it is not his regular practice to do so. He also used to wash between his fingers and toes. He used to run his fingers through his beard sometimes, but it was not his regular practice to do so. He also used to wash between his fingers and toes, but did not always do so. As for moving the ring, a weak hadith has been reported in this regard. It has been authentically reported from him that when at home and when traveling, he will wipe over his socks, the time for the resident being a day and a night, and for the traveler the 3 days and 3 nights he used to wipe over the tops of his leather socks, and he wiped over his ordinary socks, and he wiped over his headdress and his forelock. Containing himself with that, it is possible that this was only in special circumstances dictated by need, and it's also possible that it is the general, and this is more likely. It did not act at variance with the circumstance of his feet. Rather, if they were encased in leather socks, he will wipe over them, and if they were uncovered, he will wash them. He will perform tayammum by striking the ground upon which he intended to pray, once for his hands and once for his hands and his face, regardless of whether it was dust, soil, or sand. And it has been authentically reported from him that he said, Hatman أدركت رجلا من أمتي صلاة فعنده مسجده وطهوره. Wherever any man from amongst my people happened to be when the time for prayer overtook him, he has his mosque and his means of purifying himself. When he traveled with his companions during the Tabuk campaign, they crossed those sands, and their water became scarce, and it was not reported from him that he carried dust with him, nor did he order it, and nor did any of his companions whom do so. And if anyone thinks upon this, he must affirm that he performed tayammum with sand. It has been authentically reported from him that he performed tayammum for every prayer, that he renewed it, nor that he ordered it. Indeed, he declared it to be general, and affirmed that he took the place of ablution.